This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When send past the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place to tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's 11:52. It's almost midnight. It's almost tomorrow. But I'm here with my man, Tony Crow. And we're going to go ahead and break down, talk about anything that happened during training camp today. I wish that I would have been able to get on earlier, but folks, I had basketball practice. I mean, I'm basically in training camp with my girls now too. So, got to try to juggle the schedule the best way that I can. Tony, what's popping with you, my brother? How you feeling?
What's good, Sam? I'm hurting. I'm sore. You know.
They don't know about it yet, Tony. They don't know about it yet.
I know, but I feel it. You know,
Yeah.
so.
Y'all going to find out real quick why. Real soon. You're going to find out real soon why.
Yeah, shout out to the chat. My apologies. You'll find out why I missed the Knicks and Bruises last night as well, but I'll be back tomorrow. So look out for that.
Yeah, man.
And,
have you had a chance to pay attention to anything going on with training camp? I know you've been on the road, traveling back and forth, moving all around. You know what I mean? Have you had a chance to pay attention to anything going on?
I caught, clips and bits and pieces. I haven't really sat down and watched anything in its entirety. So I'm looking forward to this to get filled in a little bit and then, get my input.
The biggest news coming out of today's camp is Evan Fournier. Right? Tom Thibodeau basically said that Evan Fournier is the front runner for that starting shooting guard position. And I've already seen people, Tibbs is up to his old tricks again. Tibbs this, Tibbs that. You know what, though? I've been saying it for weeks that I think Evan Fournier is going to be the starter and that he should be the starter. You know what I mean? I was talking to Big Bubba earlier, and obviously he disagrees with me, and he's supposed to be on the show. But he had a late dinner, and it put him to sleep. You know what I mean? But we're going to listen to Tom Thibodeau. But just before we listen to Tom Thibodeau, Tony, your thoughts on Evan Fournier being the front runner for that starting position?
I mean, it makes sense. He has a statistic that no one else in the Knicks history has, right? I mean, you talk about breaking that 3-point record, and then get a demotion. Now, front runner, that means it's not set in stone.
Exactly.
That means it's not definitive. If he's beaten out, then he's beaten out. You know what I mean? Like, and as a man or even as a competitor, you gotta accept it when you get beat out, right?
Right. And
especially if it's clear.
Yeah.
And I think with this situation, it has to be clear. It has to be clear to Tibbs.
I agree.
You know what I mean? For me to change something.
I agree. I think it has to be very clear. Not only does it have to be clear, I think Quentin Grimes has to play exceptionally well in training camp to beat out Evan Fournier. My thing on the entire situation is that we haven't heard from, we don't know what Quentin Grimes is yet. We don't know what he's able to do. He hasn't done anything. And I understand he has potential, but he hasn't done anything yet. What has he proven in the league? And I understand that he's a good defender, and Evan Fournier is not a good defender, but the Knicks, their problem wasn't defense last year. Obviously, they had defensive breakdowns and there were bad plays, et cetera. It's going to be like that every year, even with good defensive teams. But the Knicks, with Evan Fournier in that starting lineup, finished 11th in the league. You know what I mean? It was the offensive side of the ball that the Knicks were really bad on. And Evan Fournier, in the beginning of the season, was part of the problem, but in the second half of the season, he was not the problem with the offense. You know what I mean? He ended up being a bright spot, kind of, in that second half of the season, in my opinion. And plus, he developed some chemistry with Julius Randle. And I said this in the short video that I did earlier today. He was one of the only guards to really look for Mitchell Robinson posting up under the basket when he, sometimes he would get deep position and Evan Fournier would find him. He started to develop some relationship with R.J. Barrett on the court. Why would you, in my opinion, why would you take him away from that? Why wouldn't you let that chemistry grow? See if it can bud. See what it can do. You know what I mean? Instead of saying, okay, now we're going to put Grimes in there and let's start developing a whole, some chemistry with you guys now. Instead, let that chemistry grow, see where it goes. If it doesn't work, you can always make the move. You know what I mean? That's my thought on it. Here's what Thibodeau had to say about Evan Fournier, the shooting guard position, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Take a listen.
Starting two-guard spot.
Yeah, no, I think the thing is we need shooting. The one thing that I know is that, with Jalen, with RJ, with Julius, we have to put shooting around them, right? Mitch will give us pressure on the rim, so that's what will force the defense to collapse. And so Evan's proven, I thought the second half of last year he played really well. So, I think we have good depth at that position. We'll see how everything unfolds.
Does that mean that Evan is the front runner right now to start at that spot?
Yep.
So you heard it right there, right? He shooting. Tony, people are going to say, well, Quentin Grimes can shoot. Shot 38% from three last season. Tom Thibodeau didn't talk about defense. He talked about shooting. What's the difference between Quentin Grimes shooting and Evan Fournier shooting?
Volume, number one. We saw Grimes put up a lot of shots in Summer League. And granted, it's Summer League, and there was a lot of positive to take from him in Summer League. But the negative was the percentage, was the drop in efficiency. So, right. I mean, I think that's a good measuring stick to say, all right, he's a good shooter. He's not ready to take 7 threes a game. You know what I mean? So, I mean, to me, that's the biggest difference between the two. Can he reach a level of Fournier? Absolutely. He's just not there yet. It's going to come with time. It's going to come with repetition. It's going to come with him getting used to taking those amount of shots.
Yeah, and see, I agree with you.
If he's open all the time, yeah, shoot him. You know what I mean? Maybe you do get 7 up, but consistently creating them off the dribble, you know what I mean, or in different ways, he's got to develop it.
Right, and see, that's why I'm 100%. I agree with you. You know what I mean? And then defensively, JJ, he asked the question, who's going to be our stopper? He said, who's our stopper defensively? I'm going to say this about Quentin Grimes because I know where you're getting at, right? That Quentin Grimes can be our stopper defensively. We don't know that. We've seen one season of Quentin Grimes play some good defense. I admit that. We've seen Frank Ntilikina play some good defense. Right? And I'm not shrugging my shoulders at defense. But in the second season, he's not creeping up on anyone. Now, this guy can play some D. Let's look at his tendencies and let's figure out how we beat him. Now, how does Quentin Grimes respond to that? Right? Because, maybe they send 2 or 3 screens at him. Teams will figure out how to beat him. And then he's got to respond and still hold his ground defensively. We don't know how he does that yet. I don't see a problem with him coming off the bench. I know there's a lot of people mad about it. Tibbs is up to his old thing again. Tibbs can't coach, fire him now. Da-da-da-da. I seen all of that on Twitter all day long. You know what I mean? And to me, it's the right move. Let Quentin Grimes marinate on the bench now, in his 3rd year, if he's ready to take over that starting spot. At the end of the season, if he's ready to take over that starting spot, and you don't like the way it's going with Evan Fournier, then you take care of it. And you start Grimes. But I think right now, I don't think he's ready. I don't think he's ready to be the starting shooting guard for the New York Knicks. Evan Fournier's experienced. He's been in the league. It's not like he's 38 years old. You know what I mean? He's 29. He's going to be 30, I guess, later on this month or later on next month or something like that. He'll be 30 years old. It's not like he's ancient. You know what I mean? He's a guy that can shoot the ball. He can do multiple things. He's developed some chemistry, and he seems to be aware that he was lacking defensively, and he's ready to, according to him, make some changes in that department. And it's not going to be like that this season coming up. So, I don't know what people are mad about. I don't know what people are mad about. But I do want you to listen to Evan Fournier and what he had to say about last season and what he learned from last season and the changes that he plans to make to correct his defensive miscues. Evan Fournier.
Obviously, you broke the 3-point record and played well offensively, but the team struggled and the starting lineup struggled. How do you view last season in terms of what you can learn from it and kind of correct with this team?
Well, I think first of all, knowing what to expect is going to help me a lot. Last year, it took me a moment to really understand, okay, what's my role going to be with this team? How can I help the guys, and how can I be myself? And I started the year very poorly defensively because I let my offense, really impact my defense. I thought to end the season it was much better, both sides of the court, and I think it's going to really help me just knowing the guys. I'm going to be myself. I'm going to compete as hard as I can. I'm going to be a good teammate, and yeah.
When you say you let your offense dictate your defense, what do you mean by that?
Well, I was struggling to find myself as a player. Okay, I was like, how can I help the team? I was trying to really find my role within the team to start the season. That's why I was so inconsistent, and because I was thinking about the offense and stuff. I've played bad defense to start the year, and that's obviously a big mistake to make. It's not an excuse at all. But once I found my place within the team, I thought everything was aligned, and I started to play a lot better.
Okay, so there you go. And I do want to tell Gmo, no, Evan Fournier is 29. He'll be 30 years old on October the 29th. Like I said, sometime next month. Legion of Knicks. Anyway, Tony, any thoughts on what you heard from Evan Fournier?
I think he was spot on. I mean, he don't want to lose that spot. I'll tell you that.
Right.
The funny thing about Fournier, man, is weird because he didn't play well last year and broke the record. So my thing is, imagine if he kind of really figures it out where his role on the team, and because I don't even think by the end of the year he completely figured it out. You know what I mean? He just got better. He just played better.
He made shots, right?
and made shots. So if he could really just figure out his niche, I think he could be even better than what we've seen already. Because I don't think he's peaked here.
Yeah. And, I think you just have to explore the growth. You know what I mean? The growth of him in that lineup with RJ and Randall and Mitch. And of course, Jalen Brunson is new to the lineup, so he's just being added. You know what I mean? But I think you've got to explore that growth. He's got the quickest trigger on the team, in my opinion. I think you got to see what it looks like. If it doesn't work, then you make changes. That's the biggest news coming out of training camp today. There is some other news that we're going to talk about, but that is the biggest news coming out of training camp. Isaiah Hartenstein was interviewed today, and he talked about reasons why he wanted to join the Knicks. All right, so let's take a listen to Isaiah Hartenstein. All right, and we'll talk about it.
What up?
Injuries from a lot of different places. What led to your decision to be here?
I think it was a spot where I felt wanted. I mean, that was a big thing coming into it, finding a place where, first of all, I can bring something, and I thought I can bring something that they didn't have to help them win. And it's a good situation for me. I mean, I think coming in, bringing something different than what they had before. And Mitch does great stuff, but me just bringing something different on the offensive end, and then defensively was really good at rim protecting last year. So just still keeping that, and just thought I could bring something different to the team to help them win.
Tony, how much do you think his presence is going to change the team compared to Nerlens Noel? All right, because Nerlens Noel barely played last year, but the year before he was a force. How much does he change what Nerlens Noel brought when Nerlens Noel was playing?
Same. I said it in the past, and it's a pleasure to hear him say it as well. That he recognizes he's a different dynamic than anybody on the team, anybody that was on the team last year. We haven't really seen that. I mean, you can make an argument. I don't know how far back you really want to go as far as like, do you consider Channing Frye a 5 or a 4? Maybe David Lee, he played some 5. You know what I mean? But as far as like a stretch 5 with passing ability, and he's probably slightly better defender than some of those other guys I just mentioned. I think he changes the whole dynamic. Like, again, we haven't seen it. The team, the current players on this roster, minus a Brunson, haven't seen that from a big. So I think it's gonna just open up a whole bunch of different opportunities for playmaking from him and for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Him being able to pass out the post or pass out the perimeter. Him being able to get the ball in the post or out in the perimeter. Open up the lanes. He can change a lot if he. I'm sorry, Vaughn Allen. He said jorts.
I seen it. I was getting ready to put that up there. You know what I mean? I seen it. Jorts. Come on, man. He's not jorts. Remember jorts. I think he's better than jorts. I think you're right, though. I think he can definitely just change the dynamic of what the Knicks can bring from that center position. And he also, in this next clip, I'm going to play this clip, and then we can talk a little bit more and dig a little bit deeper into the way that dynamic can change. All right, because he also talked about some of his activity on the court. All right, this is Isaiah Hartenstein, and he was also compared to Joakim Noah. We'll talk about that a little bit.
You agreed that
Yeah.
then you can shoot better.
Yeah.
Has he talked to you about that?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that in summer league. I mean, because I watch a lot of guys, and he's one of the guys that actually didn't know how good he can pass until I watched him, and so that's something I can definitely bring to the team. A lot of energy. I don't think there's a lot of players in the league that consistently every game will play with the same passion and energy as I do. So I think that's a good comparison. Just a little better shot, a little bit.
Yeah. And if Tom Thibodeau compared him to Joakim Noah, and he doesn't have to be everything that Joakim Noah was, but that means Tom Thibodeau has an idea on how he wants to use this guy. You know what I mean? And this wasn't just hey, we need to pick up another center because we're tired of Nerlens Noel getting hurt. This was a calculated move, and it seems apparent that when they spoke to him and his agent, it was like, this is exactly how we're going to use you. This is what we want you to do. This is what we need from you.
And that's an even more beautiful part. I spoke about him recognizing it, but the fact that, coach recognizes it, like you just mentioned, we have a specific idea already of spots we can put you in, things that we can run through you. Mm-hmm. All that stuff, that makes his transition here that much easier.
Right.
And it gives him confidence in that transition. Right. You know what I mean? It's one thing to bring a guy in and say, hey, yeah, we want to use this play for you, run these plays for you, we want to do this. But to have a reference of, hey, go look at this video, go look at this footage, you know what I mean? And this is what we see you as. This is something, and now he's saying that, plus I could shoot a little bit better.
Plus I can shoot, you know what I mean? Because Joakim couldn't shoot at all, so.
So now he's coming in confident, you know what I mean? Like, oh, wow, I could do all this, and I could bring another dynamic, Right. So,
and if Tom Thibodeau's comparing him to Joakim Noah, it's obviously not the shooting, it's the passing, the energy, right? The passion, those type of things, which is one of the reasons when we were talking the other day, I think it was on the Queen's Court, I said I think he could be a glue guy, right? Because of that passion and that energy. The constant, that constant energy that he said he brings to the game. But that passing, if you think about him in that second unit and the athletes that you have in that second unit, with guys like Cam, if Cam is in that second unit, Derrick Rose, who played with Joakim Noah. So now you think about, okay, if you're going to use him the way that you use Joakim Noah, I kind of know what to do with this here and how we're going to play, right? Obi, who can slash to the basket. IQ, IQ is basically a one-on-one guy. You know what I mean? You got someone like Quentin Grimes, who can do some slashing to the basket as well. Right, so if you can get Hartenstein in that mid-post, the same place that Joakim Noah used to operate for Tibbs, and then have guys cutting to the basket, backdoor cuts, off-ball screens, and guys, sliding to the rim, that can give such a different dynamic to that second unit when they come in. So now it's not just run and gun and Obi Toppin jumping over people, but it's a guy like Isaiah Hartenstein helping to facilitate in that second unit. So now you don't have to worry about if he can do it. You can take some of the pressure off of Rose and take some of the pressure off of Emmanuel quickly. Let those guys play off the ball while they're on the floor together, because maybe Hartenstein can operate from that mid post and, get the ball into some people's hands. And I'm not saying he's going to be a wizard like Jokic or anything like that, operating from that position, and maybe not even as good as Joakim Noah, but can do it sometimes. You know what I mean? And maybe that's where Tom Thibodeau sees it, and that's a big difference maker. That's a huge difference maker if he can operate from those type of areas, man. Because it's something this particular team just hasn't had.
Even if the initial play is not run through him, he could be the guy that runs up in that same mid post or high post once a Rose is double teamed or Quickly is double teamed, and now he's the guy that jumps up in that open spot just to find the guy that it's difficult to make the pass to.
Right.
You know what I mean? That and get the assist. So I think it's going to be nice. I think it's nice that he could kind of ease his way in. I think you made a great point with him playing with Rose. So now Rose could kind of mentor him from a different. He don't got to get the mentorship from a big. Now he could get the mentorship from a guard who's lived it, been through it, and can kind of walk him through it, help him through it the whole way.
Right. And then when and if he does get some time in that starting unit, right? You can have Randall and RJ slashing to the basket. You can utilize Fournier to help spread the floor and getting the ball to Fournier in different ways. I'm going to tell you what, man, and I know people don't want to hear it. People don't want to hear it, man.
I'm sorry, Sam, but he opens the paint too. So now, Brunson could get in there, RJ could get in there, Randall could get in there, but they have a big that they could kick it out to. So the defender, right, they either got to respect the big outside outside the paint, or try to stop one of these guys getting in the lane and leave Hartenstein open. So
yeah, man, he could post up a little bit, knock on the mid range. I mean, when we say all of these things, it makes it sound like this guy is an all-star or a superstar, right? We say, oh my gosh, look at all these things he can do. Obviously, there's a limit. He can do these things, but you're not going to run it through him because he probably can't do it. He needs someone to get the shot open for him. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like he's a superstar, but, man, when I... Listen, Mitch is going to start to begin the season, but if you start to see that the offense is more controlled and him on the floor, it opens things up a little bit more when he's playing. When he's playing with that starting unit, you could see a switch, man. You could see a switch because he may just have a better nose for basketball than Mitch as far as basketball IQ. You know what I mean? Because he's been coached a little bit more. Mitch, out of high school, didn't go to college, so it's going to take a little bit longer time, I think, for Mitch to build that basketball IQ because he hasn't been coached as much. But Hartenstein, he's been through some coaching in his career, so he may have a better understanding of the game right now, and maybe, just maybe, he does fit better with the starting unit, and Mitch fits better coming off the bench with Quickly and Grimes and Obi. More of a younger athletic unit. Although Hartenstein is 25 years old, it's that's interesting to think about.
Hey, I got some more interesting /hot takes, because you said it's not like he could be a all-star. I think he could be an all-star. Not saying he will be or it's likely, but part of that, you have one-time all-stars that just made it one time in their career based off of what they did that year. But I say that to say this, not necessarily about him, but just players in general. Sometimes it's about opportunity. Sometimes it's about how you're used that gets you into those, one-time all-star conversations. You know what I mean? Maybe it's a reserve role. Maybe it's when somebody's injured and can't make it. But I think we should see a better version of him, being that he should be being utilized to his strengths now.
Right.
You know what I mean? Sometimes you're on a team and your role is just to do this. You know what I mean? Just be the energy guy. Just be the garbage guy. You know what I mean? The dirty work. Sometimes you go somewhere else, your role is expanded, your usage is expanded, your production gets better.
Right.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah. Two things I want to look at. Gritty Grizz said Mitch missed 1 year. There's a lot of one and dones. No more excuses for Mitch. You're right. He missed 1 year. There are a lot of one and dones, but I challenge you to go back and look at his high school career and the kind of coaching he got in high school. He wasn't one of these kids that were going to some prestigious private school and things like that. Go look at who he was playing against in high school. I mean, it was, your average high school. So I don't think he was getting this great coaching experience even in high school. You know what I mean? So, but I dig what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, man. Also want to spotlight, I think it was A La Wise, who said, y'all underrate Mitch and overrate iHeart, but we'll see.
I haven't spoke about Mitch yet, and Mitch is my guy. I'm only speaking about Hartenstein.
Yeah, I mean, see, my thing is with Mitch, everything that we said that Hartenstein does, Mitch doesn't do. We didn't say that Hartenstein is going to spread the floor vertically, is going to jump up and catch oops, and is this athletic guy like Mitch is. We didn't say anything about him defending guards on the perimeter or being better in pick and roll defense. We're just talking about what he brings on the offensive side that Mitch doesn't bring, and that's shooting, that's passing. You know what I mean? A little bit more ability in the post. Can he do it defensively? Obviously, is a question. He brings hustle. He brings a lot of energy. What does he do defensively if he's switching out on guards? Can he handle it? I don't know. He doesn't seem to be like the kind of guy that's going to have fast feet, fast enough to handle guards if he switched out on a guard or a small forward. You know what I mean? In that regard, I would say that Mitch is probably better than him. And it could be one of the reasons that he wasn't a starter in the past, because teams would exploit him defensively on the perimeter. We'll learn. We'll find out. I don't know. But I'm not underrating Mitch. I'm just pointing out some things that Mitch should just watch his back and be ready. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean? He should. Either way, I think it creates a nice dynamic at that center spot, right? Because if you have Mitch starting, now you can come in with another kind of center. When we had Nerlens Noel, when we had, we still have Jericho Sims, you're coming in with the same exact guy. So the defense doesn't even have to change. Now you're coming in with somebody different, a different style of player. So the defense has to change. I think that means a lot. Josh, Uncle Fulio said, why would you have a $15 million a year center with no offensive game coming off the bench? Then you would have to question paying Mitch that contract if there's a player on the roster as a better starter. I don't know. But once you get your team together, if there's a guy that can start, like I said, Mitch is going to start the season. I'm pretty positive of that. But if down the line, it looks like Hartenstein fits better in that first unit, I wouldn't be surprised if Tom Thibodeau starts Hartenstein, and then you deal with the rest later. Okay, now what do we do with Mitch? Do we keep him as a $15 million guy coming off the bench? I mean, I think there's a lot of $15 million guys coming off the bench, to be honest with you.
That's not the first time that would have happened. Like that happens. You got rookies that come in and start over veterans. They making rookie scale money, and obviously the veterans are making more. It happens.
Yeah.
You know what I
You
mean?
know, I mean,
You put the best team on the floor, or the best chemistry, the best, you know what I mean? The guys who fit the best. So if that's the way it fits the best, I don't care who's making what. They still making the money.
they still got that contract is guaranteed.
It don't change when they gotta become a reserve.
Yeah.
And didn't Golden State have, oh man, what's the guy's name? Monty Ellis coming off the bench at one point, and he was like one of the highest paid players in the league at that time.
Yeah. I mean, it happens. You know what I mean? I mean, it happens. There's 6 men that make $15 million a year. Happens that way. I mean, Derrick Rose is making $15 million a year, right? He's coming off the bench. He's making $15 million a year. I don't know. Vaughn Allen said Mitch is already talking spicy about if Brunson don't step it up, his dad going to smack him. He said it. And listen, when I was doing the little video with about Mitchell Robinson earlier today, I wanted to put that part in there. I decided not to. But Mitch was like, better step it up, his dad going to smack him. It was hilarious. Mitch is a funny dude, man. Super funny dude. Billy Goat said Mitch is needed for his defense with JB, Fournier, and Randall in that starting lineup. I agree. Right, he's probably needed for his defense and his ability to, obviously he can block shots. He can play that weak side, rim protector. I think he's really, really good in the pick and roll scenarios. You know what I mean? And playing the quarterback in that situation. I think he does well. And you don't want Mitch switching out on a guard often, but you know, he can do it from time to time. You know, Alawaz said we had Cantor coming off the bench making $18 million a year. Yeah. Right. How much did Gallinari, what kind of contract did Gallinari sign with Boston?
That's a good question.
I mean, obviously he's not playing this year, but you know, he might have signed a nice little contract. Maybe it was like $10 million a year. I don't know. You know. So, you know, Sherwin said Hartenstein is averaging 41 games for his career, playing 14 minutes, scoring 6 points, taking 5 shots, blocking less than 1 shot, 2.3 assists. Where is the superstar? I don't think we said he's a superstar. We're just saying that he could fit in with what the Knicks do, or what the Knicks maybe want to do, or they can utilize his skill set. That's all we're saying, man. Not calling him a superstar. Obviously, he's not a superstar. You know what I mean? Joel said, as usual, you're overrating a backup center. If he was that good, they would have paid him and not Mitch. I mean, that's true, but you pay people what they're worth at that time. Doesn't mean that someone can't outplay their contract. Right? So I don't, I'm not trying to overrate the guy. I'm just talking about some things that I see that he can do that I think will benefit the New York Knicks. All right, so, we'll see. We will see. I think Wise, I missed it somewhere, but he said, this is a good center, a good problem to have with having 2 centers that could possibly, that can really benefit your team. Either one maybe could start. We'll find out if iHeart, because that's going to be his nickname, could actually be a starter at some point for this basketball team.
And that's the beautiful thing too, that the reason we're even having this discussion is because they do different things. They both bring a different dynamic. You know what I mean? And people, some of these people was talking about starting the young boy over Mitch.
Jericho Sims.
Right. So I mean.
Right. So here's the thing, right? And I want to go back and let people know that I believe Mitchell Robinson should start. I think he's going to start, and I believe he should start. Right? He's part of the core of this basketball team. R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, been playing together for 4 years. All I'm doing is telling them to watch his back, just like people are telling Evan Fournier to watch his back because Quentin Grimes. Right? Now, people, Sherwin, again, said, this guy is averaging 41 games for his career. He's only scoring 6 points, blocking less than 1 shot, 2.3 assists, et cetera, et cetera. Well, Quentin Grimes is only scoring 6 points per game for his career. I know it's only 1 season, and, he got hurt last year too. But people want him to start. And I'm not saying that I want iHeart to start. I want Mitch to start. I want Mitch to be a star. I want Mitch to be a double-double guy. You know what I mean? Because I like the way that Mitch affects the game. I'm just saying that Mitch should, get on his game, watch his back. Just like Evan Fournier should be on his game and watch his back too. That's all I'm saying. I want to take a quick look at the Knicks coaching staff, ladies and gentlemen. Before I do have another topic I'm going to talk about, but I want to take a quick look at the Knicks coaching staff for this year. Obviously, Tom Thibodeau is the head coach for the Knicks. Then you have associate head coach Johnny Bryant. For the life of me, I do not know what an associate head coach is. It's an entirely new term for me. You know what I mean? I don't know what the difference is between him just being the top assistant. I guess if Tom Thibodeau is sick or if he's thrown out of a game, we know that Johnny Bryant's going to be the guy that steps in. I just always thought that was an assistant coach, your top assistant coach. But he's the associate head coach. You have Andy Greer as an assistant coach. Rick Brunson, an assistant coach. We're going to talk about Rick Brunson in a minute. You have Darren Ehrman as an assistant coach. And then you got Yoshimoto, who is an assistant coach as well as analytics/player development coach. You have Aaron Brooks, who is the two-way liaison. So I'm assuming that's, he does work or does work with the two-way players, right? However that works. Othello Harrington, he played for the Knicks for a little bit. He's an assistant coach/player development coach. Daniel Brady, an assistant coach/player development coach. Scott King, assistant director of player development. And then Ike Ozatam, director of video/analytics/player development assistant. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your 2022 and 2023 coaching staff of the New York Knicks. All right, take a look at the training camp roster. You have 00 Jalen Harris. Cam Reddish is wearing 0 this year. Obi Toppin, number 1. Miles McBride, number 2. Trevor Kills, number 3. Derrick Rose is wearing number 4. Emmanuel Quickly, 5. Quentin Grimes, 6. Daquan Jeffries, 8. R.J. Barrett, 9. Jalen Brunson, number 11. Evan Fournier, number 13. Svi McCulloch, 17. Mitchell Robinson, 23. Julius Randle, 30. Farron Hunt is on a two-way. She's number 44. Jericho Sims, number 45. Ryan Arcidiacono, number 51. And Isaiah Hartenstein is wearing number 55. Also, Trevor Keels is on a two-way contract. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is your training camp roster. All right. What is this? 19 players? I didn't even count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 4 of these players will be waived at some point during training camp.
And I just heard Cam's number change.
To 0.
0, yeah, because that's how many games That's how many games he's playing.
Oh, who said that?
No. I don't mean like on the court. I mean he's not playing no games.
Oh,
this year.
okay. I hope not. I hope he's playing 0 games. 0 games. That's what we need from Cam. But ladies and gentlemen, your 2022-2023 training camp roster. We'll pay attention to it, see who gets cut. Some of these guys that get cut will end up on the Westchester Knicks. And I was reading something lately about one of the reasons why you see the Knicks sign a player and then waive them a day or two later is because when they sign them and then waive them, it allows them to play on it gives them a little money, but it allows them to play on the Westchester Knicks. Like, it's like, I don't know, it makes some kind of direct connection between the Westchester Knicks. You know what I mean? So, that's one of the reasons that you see guys get signed and then waived immediately. Because of that. So, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. The last thing I want to talk about, though, tonight is Rick Brunson, right? There's an article in the New York Post by Zach Braziller, and it feels like Zach Braziller is probably taking Mark Berman's spot. I think. I don't know for sure. It's what it seems like. He's taking Mark Berman's spot. But he did an article about Tom Thibodeau defending his decision to hire Rick Brunson. All right, here's the article. I'm going to read some of it. It said, Tom Thibodeau defended the Knicks' decision to hire father of the team's new point guard, Jalen Brunson, despite his checkered past. Rick Brunson, who joined the Knicks in June as an assistant coach and helped them land his son in free agency in July, has faced sexual misconduct allegations in the past. I've known Rick a long time. I'm very comfortable with who he is, Thibodeau said Tuesday, the first day of training camp. He's been on my staff. I've known him since he was in college. I feel strongly about him. Thibodeau, for whom Brunson was an assistant coach with the Bulls and the Timberwolves, said he was unsure if the Knicks had conducted an investigation into Brunson's past. That would be a question for team president Leon Rose, said Thibodeau. Thibodeau did say, however, the Knicks typically vet every new hire. Rose has not spoken to reporters since training camp last year. Brunson, who played for the Knicks from 98 to 2000, during his journeyman career, was Rose's first client in his days as an agent. Okay, we obviously know that. Brunson resigned from his job with the Timberwolves in 2018 after he was accused of improper conduct towards women while he was working for the franchise. Brunson's attorney has said his client did nothing wrong. Brunson was also acquitted of charges he sexually abused a massage therapist in 2004 near Chicago. Tony, obviously, this is being brought up right now, by this particular reporter because of what's going on in Boston, right? And what's going on with the Knicks years ago with Isaiah Thomas and Stephon Marbury and all that stuff back then.
It's also just the climate right now.
It's the climate.
Outside of these two, or the Boston thing.
Right.
I mean, it's just...
is it something? Hopefully the Knicks did their investigation, right? Obviously, there's two things in his past. One thing he was acquitted for. The other thing, you don't know the details of, but he was let go in Minnesota. Do you have any concerns? Because the last thing that the Knicks, this particular regime has steered clear of this kind of controversy. It's all been about basketball. It's been basketball controversy with this regime, right? Did they make the right signing? Did they make the right move? Are they giving the right guys minutes? Those are the kind of issues you want brought up. There hasn't been anything other than that. So, are you concerned at all? especially with the climate.
I'm gonna say yes, especially because you said there's 2 incidents. I thought it was only the one, and I thought it was the acquittal one. I didn't know there were 2 different incidents,
Yeah.
alleged incidents. All I can say is it's a tough situation. Like it's even tough to speak about. You know what I mean? Like right now, as far as without potentially saying the wrong thing, I'll speak my mind on the acquittal. I think once there is an acquittal, you know, you kind of got to move on.
Move on, right? I agree.
Now, when you get into multiple allegations, that's where it gets kind of tricky, because at what point does behavior start to be considered a trend? And then on the flip side, once your name is attached to the first thing, and again, we're talking about climate, the same way it's a climate for people to go after and condemn these men doing these type of things. There is also a group of women that look at these situations
And say,
as come ups.
yeah, and look and say, here's a target, right?
Yeah,
this guy has a checkered past. Here's a target.
Yeah, let me use that checkered past, and they're gonna believe me, or be inclined to believe me. You know what I mean? So it's tough.
It is. It is tough. It is tough. You know what I mean? If he's had any issues in the past, hopefully he's gotten past them. I will say this: he's been coaching in high school for a while. And we haven't heard anything come out of that. We haven't heard anything come out of there. So hopefully he's, learned his lesson, and he's ready. He's moving forward from it. Yeah, because the Knicks don't need any scandals.
And that's
Knicks don't need no scandals.
That's a big risk, because you know what I mean, like, thinking about it now from this perspective, if the Knicks only made the hire to get his son, because I that was never in my belief. You know what I mean, like,
right,
that they hired him to lure his son.
Right.
I looked at him and Tibbs' past relationship, and his relationship with Leon Rose. I looked at all that as more of the motivating factors, especially the Tibbs thing. Like, it's not like this is his first time being an assistant. This first time being an assistant with Tibbs. So I looked at all that. But from a organization point of view, where, the Knicks do tend to try to stay away from anything that could be a potential distraction or controversy, and they still went that route. Maybe they did an extensive investigation and found everything to be clear.
Here's the thing. Maybe they already know. I mean, Tom Thibodeau is close with him. Leon Rose is close with him. So maybe they already know the details. Hopefully those details aren't tainted because they know him, and they, I feel like Leon Rose seems to be calculative to me. So I feel like they probably, they feel like they made a safe hire. And,
let me ask you this:
don't have to worry about it.
At what point does it become wrong for a media person to ask to bring it up directly? Because you know it's going to come at some point. Let's say, and I'm sure he's addressed it at some point in the past as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, being that he's here, I'm gonna say for the first time again, do they get one time to bring it up?
I think so. I think you get one time to bring it up, you get the answer, and leave it there. You know what I mean? You know, what would be the point for them to bring it up again?
I mean, the way I look at it is, I don't think the same person does, but you know how some media outlet or some media people,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you told him, yeah, you know what I mean, like now it's my turn to ask, you know what I mean? So, cause or do you reference it after you answered it from the first person and say, I already addressed it, it's out there, look it up or something like that.
You know, and what's crazy is there's not just a New York Post article about it. There's one from The Athletic. It's funny how these things seem to come out at the same time, right? You mean to tell me these two different people just decided, oh yeah, you know what? We're gonna write the same article. Not the exact same article, but we're gonna write about this topic with the New York Knicks right now, the same day. You know, I don't know. Ty Busy said he got to be on his best behavior. You can't embarrass your son. You know, I think that's a really good point, because I read the article about Jalen Brunson a long time ago. You know, about what he went through in high school when his father had, you know, was going through trial and all of that stuff, and what he had to go through then. I don't think Rick would put his son through that again. You know what I mean? Especially in the media capital of the world. You know what I mean? You know, the spotlight is bright. It's already bright on Jalen. It would be hard for me to see him. But you know what? If someone has a problem, they got a problem. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying he does, but I don't know. I think Ty Busy is right. You know what I mean? I think he has to be, and probably will be, because he doesn't want to put that on Jalen. You know? Yeah. Josh.
I see you, Josh.
What do you say? Uh-oh, here we go. The media bashing. Who's bashing the media? Tony just asked the question. At what point does it become, you know, that you no longer need to ask the question? And my point is, it's not a coincidence that these two articles came out at the same time. If that's bashing the media, then that's bashing it. I don't care. It's not a coincidence to me that they came out at the same time on the same day. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean? I mean, you know, you could tell me different, but I don't think that's a coincidence. You know, and here's Josh again. What'd he say? The Yankees are able to handle the media so well, but the Knicks want to be different. So how is this? You know, this is about Rick Brunson. It's not even about the Knicks and the media. It's about a reporter bringing this up. And Tom Thibodeau answered the question. They asked Tom Thibodeau, he answered the question. I don't know what else you want him to do. But, you know, there we go. I guess that's something to, you know, we'll see if there's any follow-ups with it. You know, hopefully this is it. Bam. You know, they asked this question. This is it. And it can be over with. It can be done. And then, you know, if something ever happens, then the media jump in and say, well, you know, we asked you about it. I don't know what that's going to mean, you know, if they asked him about it, because they already made the hire. I'm just hoping that Leon Rose did his dirty work, you know, and didn't just take it for granted that he knew and knows them and they're close, and actually said, you know, let me dig into this a little bit, you know, just knowing the climate. So, yeah, it's a tough one, man. It's a tough one, but hopefully everything is going to be well. Everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be good. But Tony, I think I'm gonna get out of here. A late night one because I had to practice and all that kind of stuff. I was like, man, I hope a whole bunch of stuff didn't come out, and I gotta prepare this super duper long show. Basically the same stuff when I left and went to practice is basically the same thing. So,
shout out to the girls too, man. I know what they go through.
Yeah. We don't want this to, we don't want to make it like we, blaming any kind of victims or anything like that. You know what I mean? We're just pointing out that sometimes in today's climate, it's a weird climate nowadays. It's just a weird climate in the way people do things. See, I see some weird stuff happen out there. Some weird stuff happens out there, crazy stuff. You know what I mean? I've seen people leave their baby on top of a car, drive off, and then sue the not the car company, but the manufacturing company who made the car seat. They say you didn't have a label on it. Like, what crazy stuff happens nowadays is wild. You know what I mean? Wild stuff.
Yeah, sue McDonald's because their coffee was hot.
Yeah, wild stuff. Uncle Fulio says, if the story gets more legs and more harmful details come out, are y'all going to frame it as some media witch hunt against the Knicks? Honest question. I don't understand what the story is. What other legs do you want there to be? These aren't current allegations. These are allegations from 2014 and 2018. What other legs can there be? What details can come out that would hurt the Knicks besides that they didn't investigate? That's the only detail that can come out.
Or they knew and still hired them.
Or they knew the details and still hired them. Right? I don't know what else can come out. Because these are things from 2014, 2018. Right? The acquittal, that's public information. You can go get that information. I think what you would be a little bit more concerned about is the whole thing in Minnesota. Don't the Knicks have a consultant who worked for the Timberwolves? What's the guy's name? I forgot his name, but I think that the Knicks have a consultant that used to work for the Timberwolves. Maybe they were able to get a little more details from him as far as that's concerned.
I think he's letting that ESPN Josh Monarchy go to his head.
Yeah, I don't know, Josh. I mean, I know Josh loves the media, man. Josh needs to become a reporter and write on the Knicks. Take Berman's spot. I couldn't imagine those articles. They'd be something. Let me see. The Knicks, New York Knicks consultant, Gerson Rosas, formerly the executive vice president of basketball operations for the Rockets and president of basketball operations for the Minnesota Timberwolves, took the lead in negotiation. Okay, that's something else. So I don't know. I don't know if he was there around that time or not. I'm just looking at it right here, right now. He could have been there around that time. So maybe they were able to speak with him and get some more information. But anyway, Josh says he's already working on that. Okay, we're going to find out. And as soon as he becomes it, I'm going to bash him. I'm going to come right on here and bash him like Josh has no idea what he's talking about. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, gonna be up out of here for tonight. Tony, any last things you wanna say before we go?
Nah, I appreciate you, man. Shout out to the chat. Your Blackest Time on Knicks and Bruises tomorrow night. Haven't figured out exact time, but you'll get the notification.
Yeah, no doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, appreciate you guys for jumping on. We're up out of here, and I'm sure I will see you sometime tomorrow. Peace.
This is NBK. nothing but Knicks. When Sim pass the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.